Hello, I'm Jose, and this is one more edition of the Cinematic Dogma podcast. I'm joined as every week by my wild friend, Blake.
Thank you, Jose. I'm happy to be here, despite your robotic, monotone enunciation.
Was it? Okay. Okay, don't scare me like that. I'm proud of just hiding my robotness.
No, I just wanted your double entendres. I really wanted to match you. So, what did we watch, Jose?
Yeah, this time, thank you. This is a curveball. I never introduced the movie. This time we watched the 2024 animated movie, The Wild Robot, by Chris Sanders. I think that is called. Yeah.
Yes, that is his name. Before you jump into a synopsis, were you familiar with this director by name and or with anything else he did?
Oh yeah, now that I'm checking what else he did, yes, I'm familiar with what he used to do. So he used to work for Disney, probably? I mean, he directed Lilo and Stitch.
He directed it?
Yes. Lilo and Stitch, How to Train Your Dragon, then in DreamWorks, The Croods, that I didn't watch. The Call of the Wild, I don't know this one. Oh, this is one of those with a dog. And now The Wild Robot. And he's a writer that wrote like many of the Disney movies, like Aladdin, The Lion King, Beauty and the Beast.
He wrote them?
Yeah.
He wrote Aladdin.
Yes. The story.
Okay, well, my opinion of The Wild Robot has changed. It's amazing.
I knew that just mentioning Aladdin, it would be like kryptonite to you.
When you look over his IMDb page, I didn't realize about Lilo and Stitch, but I did see How to Train Your Dragon, which I liked. But that's the only thing I've seen of his. And after the Call of the Wild trailer, I thought, I'm never going to watch anything this guy makes. But here we are with the Wild Robot.
Well, one thing to keep in mind is that The Call of the Wild is a different type of movie than this. You know, it's a different like genre. I had the feeling that is like when you think about Disney, is that they have this kind of, hey, we want to capture like the magic of the imagination, you know, like with these small stories that they give you like some specific like human values to you, like in this one, like the Wild Robot or Lilo and Stitch or whatever other that they did. I mean, that other one is a live-action movie that I always, at least when I was little and I saw this, like, this is like a live-action movie by Disney. I was like,
No,
this is not what I'm here for. It feels like way more heavy-handed when they try to do that in live-action.
Well, that's what I was going to say. We're not reviewing Call of the Wild, but Call of the Wild feels very Disney Channel, circa 1993. There was a time for these earnest man versus wild feel-good films. It's not now, but anyway. Let's get back to The Wild Robot.
Let's go to The Wild Robot. This was your pick. Why did you pick it?
I picked it because over the last few months, we've gone to the theaters a lot, which means we've seen a lot of trailers. So I've seen the trailer for this film, as we all have, many, many, many times. And it's not often that I see a trailer for an animated film and I'm like, oh my God, that reminds me of my childhood. I want to see that film. So that's it. I just saw the trailer and I was like, wow, this seems gorgeous and interesting.
Talks
and
to you. Yeah.
Anthropomorphic animals. That's my shit, man. Like, get a cute duck to talk to me. I'm into it.
No, that's fair. I think that for people, I mean, I know that you're a bit younger than me, but it's that if you grew up with the golden age of the Disney animated movies in the late 80s, early 90s, is that there is like a lot of those elements that they are present here.
Yep.
You know? So yeah, I can understand that this appeal of, okay, kids are going to love it, but also adults are going to have this nostalgic blast, let's say.
And in classic DreamWorks fashion, I think it was Shrek, that they're like, it's for the kids, but there's enough in there for adults. I did feel that way about it. There was plenty in here for adults.
Let's just hold that thought after we do the summary. Do you want to summarize it?
Yes. So The film opens on a beautiful island that has to be, well, it doesn't matter. It's not tropical, it's not subtropical. Our guess was off the coast of either Boston or Washington State, just based on the flora and fauna. And a package kind of washes up onto the shores of this island, and it's a robot, an AI-driven robot. I can't remember her full name, but she's called Roz throughout the film. And she wakes up, and she is just supposed to be somebody who helps the person who buys her to accomplish tasks. She always accomplishes her tasks. But of course, she only runs into animals, which she can't understand, and they're a little bit antagonistic towards her. Even though she's just trying to help, she goes into learning mode, learns the language of all the animals, and then when she wakes up, she can talk to all of them. And they don't particularly like her. She's clumsy. She's not one of them. Like, you get it. A little bit of xenophobia, but we learn and grow in this film. But ultimately, when she's running away from a bear, she escapes the bear, but she accidentally crushes a nest of eggs and kills an entire family of geese, with the exception of one egg, which she identifies, and then the gosling hatches. What's his name? I already forgot his name. Brightbill. Brightbill.
Yeah. It takes a while to name the goose.
Yeah, because she's very literal-minded. She's not that creative.
Yep.
So the gosling, Brightbill imprints on her, and they learn to be a family. She learns to stop being so robotic. He kind of learns to be a robot, but the animals won't accept him. And so basically the film takes place. It's not super focused on timelines, but clearly this happens in the spring, and they have all summer to try and prepare Brightbill to be able to fly, because he's a runt and he hasn't been trained by other geese to do the migration that'll save his life. And I think we're just going to stop there, because this is also in theaters.
Is there any more you want to say? Fairly recent. Yeah. No, I don't think so. I think that's enough. It's like the relationship between the robot and the goose, and how acceptance.
And the rest of the animal community.
Yeah, and like the acceptance of people that they are different to you.
Yes.
And how if we come all together, except we can, achieve anything. If we leave our difference on the side.
I was like, wait, is this Ted Lasso with an animated duck?
Almost. With an animated forest. Let's just go. Yeah. I think that's a good summary. So, did you like it?
Fuck yes, I liked it, Jose.
Okay, so it captured like that feeling, that nostalgic feeling of a childhood movie.
So it's interesting. I wouldn't say that necessarily, which is what I was expecting. I wanted to be reminded of Little Mermaid and Aladdin and the Iron Giant, and I didn't get that. But what I got was like a really well flushed out, gorgeous film that had appropriate character development. It had characters that I deeply cared about. You and I just saw a film that we reviewed for the podcast where we both talked about how, even though we enjoyed the film, we didn't care about anybody in the film. This, I actually cared about many of the people. I feel many of the characters. I feel like it was brutally harsh in the way it dealt with life and death for a children's film, which I appreciated. Yeah. And it brought some real realness to the script. It's not just a children's script. I don't know what I'm trying to say.
I would say no. I think that's fair, but I would say that also to keep in mind that when they're talking about like the hardness of life and death, it's about animals. They never try to project it into humans, because I think that we barely see humans across the movie.
Yeah, do we ever see humans?
We see, but just like briefly, like almost in the background. Yeah, like a couple of times.
That's right. Yeah, I remember specifically.
Yeah. So it's not. It made me think a bit about Wall-E. That in Wall-E is like most of the movie is about like these two robots, and then there is like a third act that they interact with humans, and they go like full humans on that one. If you remember it, is that this one is a bit more about like, hey, is this robot with animals, and then a couple of scenes is like we see other parts of the world, like a bit of the how the rest of the world is and how they are like isolated on that island.
Yeah, but the worlds never really cross of humans and this island kind of. Yeah, I agree.
So I could say that from my side, I liked it too. I was like super entertaining. I was thinking, I'm going to be like forgetting about it. It didn't. It hit the feelings, but it didn't hit them as much as I was expecting it to.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I don't know if it's bad or good, but I was expecting like sometimes like with Pixar movies, is like I just feel it's like, dude, I know that you're going to be manipulating my feelings. I know what you're going to be doing. I know that it's coming, but they succeed. It's like it's almost like opening like a dam. I don't tend to cry too much with movies, but it's like it hits like some specific buttons that it just always hate. Like Inside
The
Out,
next time
for
I'm in
example.
Chicago, we're watching Wit together after 4 drinks each.
Fuck no. Fuck no. Is that because that's no. That's a movie designed only for just like making you sad. you know?
But I agree with you. I expected to be really taken on an emotional journey, and I was to an extent. And I
Yeah.
thought about why I wasn't, because it has all the ingredients there to have that
Yeah.
recipe of a Pixar film. And in my opinion, they just went too far in the action sequences at the end that it kind of ruined the emotional inertia that I personally was experiencing.
So one thing I don't remember if we ever discussed this, but it's something that I find fascinating in Pixar movies that they have the same elements all the time. Is that they are going to have like an action act. That is like where they are like running and they have shenanigans, and you can just find it. But it's more about like, hey, the characters are so well fleshed out in the first act and half of the second act, and the resolution is so good in the third act that you don't care too much about like that transition from the second act to the third act. That is like, this is for the children. This is like the part of the children are going to be like super engaged because it's just action. And I think that this movie does too, but there is something I cannot pinpoint exactly what it is. There is like something there that it doesn't fully connected with me.
It didn't connect with you, or it didn't manipulate you enough to meet your expectations.
Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the later. Is that it connected? But for example, okay, we didn't get into this character. There is a fox too that he befriends the robots.
And who voices this fox?
Is Pedro Pascal because he has to be on everything. There is a contractual obligation that he has to be in 10 movies per year right now. So I just feel like the relationship from him that is like, oh, I'm also isolated and you're going to be my best friend. There were like some parts there that I felt is like, okay, that's fine, but you're giving me like these harsh realities about life and death, but he's going to be defying those principles just because he's friends with this robot, and then eventually the goose when he starts like growing up. But we only see a single fox in the forest, so there are no other fox that he interacts with. So what is going on? So there were like some stuff that I was like, okay, so if I can detach myself a tiny bit from the fable narrative, because you are giving me stuff that is close to reality, why don't you paint me a world that is like closer to reality instead of telling us like, no, this fox is isolated and he needs friends. So here you go, feelings. I feel it's like, I don't know, there was like something that was not 100% clicking.
I'll admit that there were some problems for me in this film. I'm trying to figure out how to describe this. I do need the worlds that I spend time in through film to have some sort of logic. Like,
Yep.
it can be a unique logic to this film, but it kind of needs to have a world that makes sense. This world stops making sense about 2/3 through the film, where just
Yep.
this whole, like, the circle of life kind of stops to exist.
Oh yeah.
There are things that Roz needs to operate, and those kind of just go away, and you're just supposed to suspend your disbelief and be like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
Miyazaki does this in many ways, and it takes me a second to be like, oh, like this logic is very different, and I have to get used to it. But the film didn't do it as well as Miyazaki did,
Yeah.
and so it feels a little bit disjointed in places.
But I had the feeling you're absolutely right. But I think that as you bring Miyazaki, it's like I'm going to be like just like a step in taking the bait. It's like Miyazaki usually what he does is like I would set some rules on this universe, and I'm going to maintain them. I may evolve them, but it's like there's going to be like consistency on what I'm presenting here You know, is that that's the same as a Christopher Nolan movie. That
And
is
the
like
Wild Robot did not have that consistency.
Nope, he didn't.
At all.
You know, he didn't. So it was a bit more about, okay, now you want me to feel sad that Ross may be damaged, but that doesn't matter as much. It doesn't go anywhere. So, like the animals, you spend like so much time like setting this, but then you throw it away. So I just feel like, okay, if I were a kid, yes, I would be like definitely entertained and I wouldn't be like thinking about this. But I feel like Pixar is more consistent when writing like the progress of the movie, like just moving from one place to another, and it's a bit more about like the evolution of the characters given like some rules of that world.
So I 100% agree with you, and now I'm just asking a question that I don't have an answer to. Does that make it less good? Or was this film just trying to do something different? Because, like, I refuse to watch Toy Story, any of them, because the manipulation is offensive to me. It's like, no, like, fuck you. Like, I get all the strings you're pulling. This film didn't care to pull the strings like that. Because I didn't feel super emotionally taken for a ride by the end, does that make it less bad? I don't know. I don't know the answer. It's just a question.
So let's just say that it's true that Toy Story is manipulative because we all grew up with some kind of toy. And like the idea of growing up and leaving them behind is like, it can be like a bit of, you have a bit of empathy if you were not the kid that it would destroy all of his toys. Is like you have a personal attachment today. And just having that confirmation of those toys have a personal attachment to you, it can be like morally devastating. You know, in this case, it's like, yeah, you know, they're animals, they're cute, they interact with each other. If you didn't have like the emotional hook on you, I honestly feel like the script was not strong enough.
And that's a fair reading. And I think I feel that way a little bit too.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's what I was saying, is like it doesn't click, is that there is something here and you actually like hit the nail on the head with it may just be that it's not consistent. So
which is a negative for me. Like I said earlier, I need, and you said it very well. Let's just circle jerk each other. When you said the Miyazaki, he keeps the logic. It may evolve, but there's that consistency. There's no evolution of the logic. There are things you'll walk away and be like, hey, this didn't make sense. And that's a little bit of a bummer to me. Because the world he built was so freaking beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
The island is the most beautiful place you've ever seen, and it's so impressionistic. It's not like trying for real. It's just like Monet painted this
watercolors.
pasture.
Yeah.
So gorgeous. And for me, that style was enough to overlook the substance issues.
There's one thing that now when I watch an animated film is that kind of like, holy cannoli, I love that I grew up like in the everything is manual and there is like a lot of love and craft. But I also love that I got to see like this transition into, hey, this is not only about like making cheaper like animated films. This is a bit more about like giving us freedom for just experiment with more sophisticated artistic expression. So just making like all of these like watercolor is that it would have been impossible to do it 30 years ago.
Oh yeah,
and now it looks
about it like that.
freaking incredible, you know. And it's like a style. I'm pretty sure that you didn't watch this, but it's like you remember like the Pussycat from Shrek, the cat in boots or whatever it's called.
Oh yeah, Puss in Boots.
Yeah, so there was.
I didn't see it, but I know what you're talking about.
It's good. It's like so good. It's like it's super entertaining. I don't know if it was like close to 2 hours, but I was like, this is better than it has any right to be. Is that this may be like the best Shrek related movie that I ever watched.
That's Antonio Banderas, right?
Yes, this is still Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek or Catherine Zeta-Jones. I always doubt on this.
They're completely different people. Do you not know?
I know that. I don't.
One is British.
It's Salma Hayek, okay? It's Salma Hayek. Sorry, but no, and it's actually Olivia Colman is also on that one.
She's in Puss in Boots? Oh.
Yes.
Well, that's because Olivia Colman also has the she must be in 10 movies per year thing.
Maybe. But it's good. And actually the artistic direction is also like pretty surprisingly good that it makes me feel like it's true, like these movies are still directed to kids, but watching it as an adult, that it grew up like seeing this transition from animated films requiring years of hundreds of people animated every single cell is incredible. That is true, is that you didn't cheapen up like this medium. Is that I just had the feeling that is really amazing that you're still like crafting good stories, and artistically is even more impressive than what it was before. And I was like a film detractor of the beginning when everything was transitioning with Toy Story to 3D. I was like, this is super cringe. I don't want this to go away like the animated.
I don't want to go into superlatives, but I think this is absolutely one of the most beautiful animated films I've ever seen, just in terms of what you're seeing on this, like the animation itself. I was just blown away.
Yeah. And I think that, like the Puss in Boots, The Last Wish, it may be also from Universal. This is from Universal,
DreamWorks.
No?
DreamWorks.
Oh, the other one is DreamWorks.
But
and
so
this is DreamWorks too.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think that it may be like DreamWorks, the ones that I'm like, okay. I mean, it's true, you may not have like the name still that Pixar has or Disney, but I'm feeling like more and more like, okay, I'm fine watching like any of these movies. I'm going to be entertained. They're going to be a visual spectacle, and it's going to respect me much more than a Marvel movie.
Yeah, I agree. I don't particularly like Shrek either, but when I'm forced to watch those movies, I'm like, oh, yeah, okay, I get it. I get why people like these films. And when I watched this, I was like, yeah, DreamWorks, they get it. And maybe I like this more than Toy Story because it didn't emotionally manipulate me in a way. I don't know. I just like this film.
Dude, no, I still think that it emotionally manipulates you, but it didn't succeed so much because of
that's a good
not
point.
like so consistent. You know,
That's more accurate.
Is that the relationship of hey, you are my mother, but you are not, but you are my mother, is like it's emotional manipulation at its best.
Yes, it's true. I just fucking hate Tom Hanks, man. Maybe that's why I don't like Toy Story.
Maybe that's it. Maybe it's a personal thing. Maybe there is a version that you can generate with AI that it just gets replayed by Michael Fassbender or something like that.
I would love that. I was going to say that in my head. Literally, we thought
Michael
about the same guy. Yes.
That's hilarious. So, should we go over the questions? Because I think that we both like it. We don't think that it's perfect, but maybe let's just going into it in the questions. It will give more light.
Let's do it.
Right. So, Blake, would you watch The Wild Robot again?
I would happily watch this film again.
Okay. Would you watch it tomorrow again?
I don't, not in its entirety, but I would really sit down and watch 20 minutes of it just because it's so beautiful and you laugh and the characters are interesting and funny. I would watch it again in 6 months, fully.
Yeah, I think that I watched it in 6 months to a year again, and I could say that one thing that I felt is like I barely stare at my phone while I was watching it. Is that it's pretty entertaining. It just gets you like just into the movie like pretty well. Would you recommend it?
Yes. Like I said, there's not many animated films I'm drawn to, and I was drawn to this, and I was not disappointed. Again, not perfect, but it's exactly fulfilling.
Yeah, I wouldn't be like going to the bars, like telling people, they say, oh my God, you have to watch The White Robot. But if someone tells me, it's like, hey, you know what I miss is like, it's about the Iron Giant, Lilo and Stitch, all of these movies. Is like, The White Robot, I think there is a very faithful successor of those.
I'm going to get you some The Wild Robot merch for your upcoming birthday in 8 months.
Okay. But meanwhile, would you remember The Wild Robot?
Yes, as to be fair, the ending when it gets very action driven and there's like bad guys and stuff, I'm probably gonna forget that. Overall, I'll remember the time on the island that's more or less happy. So I would say yes, but I'm gonna forget a portion of this.
Yeah, I may remember the ending, and I will forget like some pieces. But what is the premise? I may forget Pedro Pascal's character. To be completely honest,
he is kind of not forgettable, but you could get rid of that character and it would be fine.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that it's bad. It's just that it doesn't add to the main themes is that you already covered like the main themes with the other two main characters. So,
Yep.
yeah. Is there anything artistic about it?
Yes, so much. We've described a lot of it. The film is absolutely gorgeous. I think the voice acting, Roz is voiced by Lupita Nyong'o, and she's incredible. Like it's all, there's a lot here that's artistic.
Yeah. I love like her transition from the beginning, like very robotic kind of thing, but she sells it like pretty well. And then how she's like way much more human towards the end.
There's some point where she gets to meet another robot and she's just exasperated, like at the end of her rope, and like the journey from the chipper robot that came out of the box at the beginning to that, I was like, wow, that's an impressive emotional range for an animated character.
Yeah. So yeah, she put effort. It was not like a bit of a quick cast for her. So I really appreciate it. And yeah, like the visual language, I love it. I was like super impressed. My boyfriend and I were like just like every several minutes like, this looks amazing. He
Paulo,
like,
my husband and I were too. I was like, that's fucking gorgeous, and that's gorgeous.
Yeah, we were like, look, the backgrounds are impressive. Is that they could be like just paintings.
Yep.
Most of them. So yeah, like super, super impressive from an artistic perspective. Do you think that is a timeless piece?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sure, she's a robot, and robots are going to look different when they actually come out. But this is all about fitting in and family and chosen family, and yeah, everything is timeless. I think even the animation is going to look timeless, to be honest.
Yeah, I think so. I think that this is not going to be like Toy Story 1. That is like, okay, this is pretty clear from what period of time is. This is a bit more of a, dude, this looks gorgeous. And this wouldn't have been able to be done like 30 years ago. I don't know how this is going to be like looking 30 years in the future, but I don't miss like any kind of more realism or anything. Is that this is perfect.
This should be
like
the future of
painting.
animated. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the present. That's the part that I'm like super happy about like living in a time that this is the present and it looks so amazing.
We're lucky. Very blessed. # blessed.
Exactly. Would you turn the Wild Robot into a TV show?
Honestly, probably. I think this could be a really successful TV show. There's enough there. There are enough characters. There's plenty to do on that island. This could be a pretty thought-out, extensive world that I would want to see more of.
So there was a Lilo and Stitch TV show that he also directed. He didn't direct. Oh no, actually, the program creator was Chris Sanders, but I don't think that he directed the show itself. But what I'm trying to think, I mean, that's also in an island. It's with an outsider coming to that island. But in this case, I think that I'm fine with just keeping it as a movie. I think that the characters, you could give me more, but you already gave me enough of all of them.
Well, I would prefer to keep it as a film. This question is a little bit squishy. I think it could easily translate to a TV, but I prefer it as a movie.
Okay. No, you're right. But the thing is, like, would you turn it? Not if it could be turned.
Would I choose to do it and get rid of the film? No, I would keep the film.
Okay. So let's just go with no, because I got the feeling that it would be like watering down. It would be like a bit more, it's like, the life, how it continues. It just feels like, I don't care. It's like, this is the story. It's like, I don't want to see like Bright Bill becoming older.
I want to learn more about the bear. Tell me about the bear that had a surprisingly large heart.
What a surprise. Okay. Do you think that the Wild Robot could have been a short? Not if we would make it a short, but could have been a short.
I think so, yeah. I mean, there's plenty they could have cut out, like the fox, which was funny. There are other sidelines that I think could be taken out, yes.
Yeah, I agree with that. I was checking right now. It was 1 hour and 42 minutes. Yeah, I think that you could remove like a lot of stuff. I tend to watch every year the Oscar-nominated animated films, and this feels like one that it could have been like 40 minutes. There is always like one that is a bit longer than the rest. It's like, just trim some stuff. You're not going to be like develop some parts as much as this. It can be like magically able to communicate with the animals. So you just remove like the 10 first minutes of the movie, remove the fox, remove other stuff, and Yeah, you're done. 30, 40 minutes. And do you think that this movie could have been better?
I don't want to dwell too much on the negatives, but there are some problems. I can completely overlook those problems, but yeah, there are some pretty simple fixes that could elevate this film.
Yeah, I think that the script could have been a bit better, more consistent, and I don't know, maybe the characters not fleshed out enough. Just think about exactly what you want to get out of the Fox. If he's going to be like the voice of the reality, I don't think that it clicks 100%. So, I don't know. There is a tiny bit more polish that I could have done with that script.
Yep, I agree.
Okay, so before scoring, if you are listening to us and you are enjoying this, please just like, subscribe, all of that. Leave 5-star reviews on every platform that you see us. Tell your coworkers that you found your next favorite podcast that they should listen to.
And share us on your social platforms.
Of course. Social platforms are important. But just going into the final score, this was your pick, I think. So I guess that I should score it. I'm going to go with a 7.
Wow. No, that's surprise. Do you want to say anything about that, or should I just score?
I mean, I think that is not perfect. I think that is like, okay, the script is fine. It's like a young adult that can enjoy it, but it's like the visual spectacle is so good, and it's still entertaining. So it's like, for me, it's like, this is a notch above good. It's not like, oh my god, this is going to be a classic in 30 years at the level of the Iron Giant. It's like I had the feeling that it hits the right nostalgic notes. And time will tell if this is actually something that is like remember as a classic or not.
So I came into this conversation relatively sure that it was going to be an 8.5. And then as we kind of talked about some of the problems, it went down to an 8. My guess was just because I thought you liked it a little bit more. I thought you were going to score higher than me on this one, to be honest. But my score is an 8.
Okay, nice. Yeah. I think that there is a bit of a nostalgic value that it didn't connect with me that much.
Interesting. I would wonder, nostalgic just in terms of those of us who grew up in an American culture of American animated films like The Iron Giant?
Maybe. I mean, I never was The Iron Giant. I was Lilo
But
and
I mean,
Stitch,
those sorts of like early 90s. Got it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's like maybe I relate to those movies in a slightly different way, than people that grew up in this country. It's just like I liked it for what it was. If I had a kid, is it definitely I will watch it with them. But that's it.
Well, it's interesting you keep bringing up Lilo and Stitch. Obviously, it's relevant, but that's kind of one of the first Disney movies that I was like, because they came out every year, right? That Lilo and Stitch came out, and I was like, oh, I'm too grown up for this, and I never saw it. It's kind of like the death of my Disney animated film childhood.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't go to the cinema to watch it. I think that I watched it at home, like some time later. And I was like, oh, okay. It was cute. Is that definitely second note? I was like 22 when it was released, so definitely I was not the target audience.
Oh, wait, am I completely... When did Lilo and Stitch come out?
2002?
No way, because I was 17, so I am not remembering. It is 2002. Wow, that is not the first Disney film that I was too old for.
No, probably you were already too old to previous ones,
Yes.
So, it's like, it's fine. I like the nostalgic value in it, but for me, it's more like the visual spectacle. And you don't treat the audience as stupid. It's still like just a fable. But I don't feel like you treat them as really smart as Where the Wild Things Are, for example.
Sure, that's fair. Oh, interesting. I wasn't thinking about that as an animated film. But it absolutely is, obviously. I don't know why.
It's not animated from a classical manner. Yeah, fully, but the monsters are fully animated in 3D, and they're not fully animated in 3D.
They're not fully, but also like the claymation sites, and it was like it's animated, yeah.
Yeah.
Just not drawn.
Yeah. Yeah, but it's still like a really nice view. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
Cool,
I'm
man.
happy with this pick.
Perfect. Do you have anything else to see? Any
I
closing
just
thoughts?
wanted to check in because we both lived in San Francisco. What you thought of the scene? This is at the very beginning of the Golden Gate Bridge. I loved it. I thought it was so clever.
Yeah. No, I like it, and I think that you're right. It's like I have forgotten about like the San Francisco scene. Is that definitely they had to be on the West Coast because everything is about like
Oh, good
migrating.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like there is no real winter in South California, so probably it's like about flying towards like from the northwest to the southwest.
I think you're right. Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. But yeah, if you still can catch it, if you have kids and you're listening to this, is that definitely this is a good movie to watch with your kids.
As of today, it's free on Peacock.
Yeah. Well, as of today, I don't know if it's today or some weeks ago, but
As of this recording.
Correct. We actually inaugurated it to be free. It's like we have like an, like how do you say, an arrangement with Peacock. They were not going to be like putting it for free until we actually
Hashtag
recorded about
sponsored.
it. Exactly. Always. Hey, folks, thank you so much for putting up with us.
And until next time.